Welcome to Shamanic Voices, a profound journey into the heart of shamanism, led by a seasoned practitioner with over 40 years of experience and his journeyman. To all our current listeners, welcome back. And to our new ones, we hope you enjoy the journey. Join us every other Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and all other major streaming platforms. We also have video podcast on YouTube. Please check it out if you are interested in putting a face to the voices. Join us as you listen on your way to work, while eating breakfast, wherever you may be, as we delve into the wisdom of the ancient world and learn how this can help you navigate your modern life. As a reminder, if you did not read the description, these will be explicit episodes sharing trauma, abuse, and more. These are not for the lighthearted, but at the same time can bring with them healing and understanding. Please listen to this series with that in mind. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey.
Well, welcome to Shamanic Voices. Today we're going to be interviewing my colleague, my partner here in this enterprise, Bryan Nolan. He's had some very interesting experiences. How are you doing today, Bryan?
Pretty good. It's been a long week, but really good. It's nice to start the new year with despite all the crazy stuff going on in the world, a positive attitude. And I'm really excited.
I'd like to share with our viewers and audience that we have a very positive new enterprise to share with them. I've been putting out Bengtstroms, propagating them since 2016, but recently it's kind of been kicked into high gear. And as you are listening to this, you're probably wondering, what in the heck is a Bengstrom? It's literally the opposite of a maelstrom. It's a vortex of blessing coming up from the earth, bringing in a golden light, traveling in like a counterclockwise tornado, going through the body. It's also a drain, which allows you, like a cosmic drain, to pull anything you want to get rid of, like anxiety, pain, whatever, out of your body, out of your soul, out of your mind, however you want to view it. And at the same time, it's a very grounding feeling. And if you want to travel to other dimensions, I had one fellow come here and put his sleeping bag on the Mother Bengstrom one time, a very spiritual young man, and he went to all kinds of places. So it's a very interesting experience if you want to take it a step further on doing it. But Bryan, why don't you tell us about your recent experience with it? You've been exposed to Bengstroms. I put several around your house, and you apparently were tapped into to figure out how to build them for yourself recently.
Yeah. So I wanna get into that story about everything. But is it okay if I first introduce the project a little bit of what I'm trying to bring up, along with these Bengstroms?
Sure.
So just because I know sometimes people are very busy, they'll listen to the first 5 minutes and then they're like, oh, I'll get back to that episode eventually. But then they forget most of the time. I know I do it all the time. So just real quick before I get into the story of the Bengstrom that I've dealt with and what I've been learning about through this practice. So I'm starting another project as well called Not Everything Matters. So this is going to be a podcast and platform to teach meditation for free to everyone. Now, of course, not independent workshops and coaching one-on-one, but the platform itself with guided meditations, a podcast, holistic things based on interviews, personal stories, and everything else. Anything to share to build that network, but then it builds a network of providers. For instance, if you need financial planning, this is someone who we know is good and can help you from a healing perspective, not trying to take advantage of you. So everyone that works with the network has to operate in a healing model, not a business model. So that's the basic idea, the basic gist of it. So, but now I'm excited to talk to the Bengstroms as well. So where would you like me to start on that? Because we were just chatting about this beforehand.
Well, I guess you could start with your own personal experience with the Bengstroms, being introduced to them, and seeing what they've added to the feel, for lack of a better word, in your own home, and then how you recently were exposed to a way that you could propagate them yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember when I first came down there with my wife, girlfriend at the time, to buy the energy rocks off you. Because really, I mean, this gets into like kind of how I met you. Should we tell that story?
Oh, we can save that for another time, perhaps.
Okay. So basically, there are these energy rocks that I'd heard about that I could get from this person. So I go down to see here, and you show me on the ground where the mother Bengstrom was, and I went to stand on it, and you didn't tell me what would happen. You just had me stand on it, told me to put my hands facing down, head just straight up, so you had a feel connection between the ground and the sky. And I just start rocking back and forth, and I go, what's happening? And you're like, that's the energy you're feeling. And you just start describing the whole gold vortex of light and everything like that. And I'm feeling this in my body, and you showed me the other 3 ones in your yard. And I just remember feeling sensations travel through my body from my pulling out. And I was pretty an anxious mess back then. I still go way too fast, but I mean, I was a different person. And I literally felt this overwhelming feeling just start leaving my body. Like when I came home with my fresh energy rocks, it changed my life completely. Like it kind of showed me what else is out there, because I was searching for something in spirituality, but I had no idea what it was. I mean,
I would like to just clarify for people listening, there's no such thing as energy rocks. Just so you know, these are long. these are sculptural plaques made of long chain, highly linked copolymers, very special chemical process where it kind of breaks a life wave apart and it sends life force through you, l'envoyement, through the body. That's what they do. I guess some people call them rocks. Most of them, sometimes I'll put a decorative stone on the front of it, but it has nothing to do with the effect, usually.
Now, you did explain this to me. No. I'm glad you clarified.
Otherwise, people are going to write in and want me to send them little rocks, and there are no rocks.
I mean, we can do that. We can call them quantum crystals. It's a piece of granite that I blessed and said it's quantum, and here you go. You genuinely did explain to me the story behind them, and I couldn't understand the level of chemistry or anything with it at that point, because when I came down there to get them, I was I was a really manic person. I asked my wife. I drove her insane. But so I was so focused on me need energy rocks to heal people. My hands are power. I can do things. Just because I started feeling energy in my body. I didn't know what to call it, so I called it Reiki. But when I came down there and experienced that, and came home with my, fancy energy rocks, that it was going to push me on this path of actually having focus. And once I started studying it's not about studying the theology, it's about studying the ancestry and understanding and really finding purpose in my life, which is like the whole point of the podcast, how people find purpose in their life. It doesn't matter what age, but you have to find some sort of way to want to be here. Otherwise you won't. And at that point, I was still suicidal, frankly. Off and on, I was still battling it. I didn't really know how bad it was, but I was trying to always be better and trying to find that purpose. And standing on that's my long way of saying thank you, first off. But when I stood on the Bengstrom and came back from experiencing that, it changed my life completely. And that's what I think Bengstroms have the ultimate thing to do. They can help people if they talk to the Bengstrom, find purpose, talk to that energy what they're connecting to, find, like, what do I need? Yeah, sure, I need $1 million. Well, of course I do. But, learn how to actually go to get it. Like, what the tools do I need to acquire? What the craftsman's belt, what are you trying to achieve in life, and what do I need to learn? Oh, I know a little bit of this. Will that help me along this line? Yeah, if I just learn about maybe this piece, the puzzle's complete, and I can focus, calm down, stop having anxiety. And I could ramble on. Please keep me on track. Just to make it a little more tangible, that over my shoulder is one of the plaques, one of the sculptural plaques. Its mate is sitting on the opposite wall. They each send a split wave through, which basically links up in your own living protoplasm. So my entire living room is full of these objects, and people get an instant
drug-free buzz in a positive sense when they step in here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. Yeah, the Bengstrom is an interesting thing. It happened to me very accidentally. I had been working on a book about the ET experience, about contact and what effect it had on humanity, trying to do the historical research, read every author I could find that I felt like had a compelling story, like, for instance, William Bramley and Jacques Vallée, people I thought had a lot to say, and interviewed quite a few interesting people, I think, like James Gilliland, who had a whole lot of very interesting experiences. And all that was in the book. But in the process of working on the book, I ran across this person who claimed to have had actual contact, a person in a metaphysical and scientific fringe science study group I belonged to at the time. It's still available online, called Open Inquiry Group. And in our Open Inquiry meeting, I heard about this guy in Sedona who claimed to be an actual Nordic ET, and he certainly looked a really strange-looking character. And there were a lot of things about him which indicated that he's something about him that wasn't the average person. He wasn't just BSing. Like when he was there at a UFO conference, all these suits came up in limousines and sat down with their laptops and were just interviewing him. He's sitting there dressed in shorts and thongs like a surfer dude, comes across like Keanu Reeves playing a surfer dude, stoner type. Kind of sounds like that. All 6'7" of him, and skin as light as parchment paper, and just totally strange looking guy. And they're all taking notes furiously, and he's talking extremely high science to them. And my friend who was telling me about this was a retired science teacher herself. She said this stuff was way beyond anything she had studied, even her postgraduate work. So there was something very real about this guy. Anyway, so he offered for me to go have an experience with them, which I did do. It's in my book. If anyone's interested, I'm not trying to sell books here, but it's called Contact.
Nope, sell your book.
Contact and Cosmology. It's available on Amazon. And in this process, I said, well, I'd really like to interview this guy. And even if he's full of beans, it's a heck of an interesting story. A guy who's claiming he can take you on a ride in a flying saucer across the desert at night in northern Arizona. I mean, it's a pretty good story in and of itself, whether it's true or not. So open-mindedly, I agreed to go. And about a month after I got back, and I did end up putting a whole chapter in the book about my experience with the Pluvadians, who are a Nordic ET race. I was at the time doing a part-time job doing landscape architecture for people while I was doing my shamanic work. And I got home, was going to change clothes, go make a presentation to an architect with what I came up with in design. Come home, pick up my... I'd been working with a crew in the field since about 6 a.m. And I got home about noon. And this was on... I didn't even think about the significance of the day at the time. The 1st of April, 2006. April Fool's Day. So this may put into perspective what happens next. I get this call on my flip phone, old Motorola flip phone. I had a local, what do we call them, internet service provider, ISP, as my cell phone provider, who later got bought up by AT&T. And I just hear this very unaccented male voice telling me to go to the back of my garage, pace off 3 paces as I would normally walk, north of the eastmost edge of the concrete apron behind the garage. And this is how Matt was talking to me, which isn't a complicated thing to do. Okay, so I step out there and then place an iron rod, which I had in the back of my truck, drive it into the ground, enough so it wouldn't interfere with lawn mowing later in the year when it grew up a little higher. And that they were going to set up a Bengstrom there, and they were doing another one in Siberia somewhere. I was never told where. It's a pretty big region. And that these would be the first 2 contact points. They were going to build a global network of these sites, which bring in a good feeling, get rid of a bad feeling. And initially, of course, it was just strictly going to serve as a drain where you could drain out anything that ails you, so to speak. They didn't add the golden tornado until a year later in another incident with them. So I just walk out there not knowing what to think, drove into the ground. I'm thinking, well, some guys I used to serve with in a rather unusual capacity are probably having sport with me. They're probably going to come running out of 150 unoccupied acres next to my house at the time, which my property bordered, laughing their asses off, wearing ghillie suits and camcordering my being a perfect idiot, driving this thing to the ground and standing there waiting for some sort of event to happen, which I did do. I finally gave up after about 10 minutes, went inside, went about my business, forgot all about it. About, I guess a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I had a then girlfriend of mine who was grew up kind of in the Central and Latin American tradition of being and had learned to be an Andean shaman. She'd gone through that training, but was also a physicist and a chemist. She's a very interesting lady, kind of the scientific and spiritual sides all highly attuned together. And she said, I'm running into a vortex. I was fixing food. She can't cook, so I was fixing lunch for us. So I'm running into a vortex. It's coming from somewhere out there, and she points to the backyard. And I'm going, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Show me. So I get up and follow her out back behind my kitchen, which is adjacent to my garage. And she points over to the exact spot that I'd stood on to plant that thing and says, it's there. You have a vortex in your heart. I said, you can see one? She said, yeah, I can see it. I'm going to go stand on it. She went and stood exactly there. And I remember, I said, well, you know what? Actually, I had this weird event a couple of weeks ago. And they said something happened. I can't detect it. She said, oh, yeah, I feel it. It's pulling on me. I feel it pulling down. Why is it pulling? I said, well, anything you want to get rid of, you can do it. So she tried it. It worked. That's when I knew I had a Bengstrom. I needed to mark it out. So about 10 years later, an ET showed up here. I know this sounds bizarre, and actually showed me how to propagate it elsewhere, because I'd been driving with a friend of mine who was up here from Argentina. We were talking about, he recognized the benefit of it. He's an MD. So this is a great feeling, but how in the heck do we make more than this one you've got in the backyard? And this ET showed up one morning. Apparently they'd overheard somehow our conversation and told us how to do it. So he and I started propagating them with people we knew, especially up in Tennessee, if you were around here. And anyway, I've been doing it ever since. So now there are Bengstroms in Ohio, Tennessee, Indiana, New Jersey, and soon to be Louisiana as well. So these are places that bring in blessing from the earth and tie people into the starry realm, the cosmic axis, and the earthly realm, the satanic axis. That's how they work.
So I just, on that, I want to circle back a little bit to, the fancy energy rocks. So that's something that can also, and this is just me, pushing advertising for this as well, but genuinely, these polymer structures that I don't fully understand, but my teacher does, they harness the energy of this. And this brings into your house, into your meditation room. So this is something that we also have the ability to create. So just to push that out there.
Yeah, the ceramic plaques, I'm sorry, not ceramic, but the polymeric plaques do bring that in and directionalize it. You're right.
Yeah,
because
I always so people know where they're coming from.
Yeah, I always do attenuate them over the Bengstrom. I always put them on either side of the Bengstrom to soak up that energy as part of instructing them in what to do before giving them to people. Yeah.
Yep, I'm sitting between two of them right now.
I am not producing them any longer, but you have a couple in your house as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it was, May of last year that I put them all around your house, around your healing room. Is that correct?
Yeah. We put one large one, which I believe had 7 points outside by the large oak tree, maple tree, I'm sorry. And the tree reminded me. And we put 1, 2, 3, 4 outside of the therapy room. And then we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outside of the bedroom, and then the front room over there. So we cased the house with them, and it improved sleep dramatically. And it actually started shifting the energy of this entire house. Drove my cats insane for a little bit. They've been still regulating from this because they're so sensitive.
Again, we are learning as we go along, folks.
Yeah.
I really didn't know if they only worked out in the yard or if they could affect the quality of life inside the house. And I had a local client here in North Alabama contact me and asked to have it done. And it happened that her bedroom kind of juts out apart from the rest of the house, so it has 3 sides which are available. So I planted these around 2 sides, right smack next to the foundation house, and on the 3rd side, large, like I guess 10-gallon planting pots full of soil from the yard. I put it in there. Wasn't sure if it would work or not, and I took my etheric camera and could go inside, and you could actually see all the radiation patterns, all the interference patterns in the bedroom. And immediately, she said she started, even the next night after doing the installation, getting the best sleep of her life, started losing weight, getting energy, feeling rejuvenated. So it had the desired effect. I didn't know if it worked through the foundation, through the brickwork. And she has a very nice, old-fashioned, thick-walled, very well-insulated home. And it went right through the brick and everything like it wasn't there. So it does work through houses, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're learning as we go. Well, tell us about your experience on the mountaintop. I mean, this is the sort of stuff that's really interesting and riveting.
Now, let me get to that in 1 second. Speaking of the etheric camera you had, I figured what better way to meet someone that knows how to do this than have them listening on the podcast. If anyone knows how to safely copy or clone an application from an old iPhone 5 to other ones or save the thing, this is an application that literally exists only on like 1 or 2 phones. So if anyone knows how to copy that, please contact us. We would love that. Happy to install Bengstrom at your house just to say thank you.
Well, and just to be specific, it was an old iPhone 5C, which was the only one that the etheric app was ever made to work on. And apparently Apple and the German engineering firm which created the app, which is a very good working app that has given me very good graphics, good pictures of people's auras and even the auras of things and of plants and cats and raccoons and so on ever since. That's the only model for which it was made. Yeah. So, we'd love to be able to clone it and share it.
I figured that was a good way to get that out there.
Sure.
My trip to the mountaintop. Now, I won't go too crazy on this one, but basically, I kind of got an intuition that I needed to go camping. In like a few months, I was like, like November 5th? Yeah, I guess I can do that. So I get pushed to go on November 5th to go camping to Sunfish Pond. And it's where I started my meditative journey back around 26, when I was just like moved back to my parents, trying to get clean from addiction and everything else. And I sat up there by this beautiful glacier lake, like National Glacier Lake, one of the 7 wonders of New Jersey or something. And that's where I used to go camping as a Boy Scout, I vaguely remember. But like, this place was just special to me. So they told me to go back to that place, years later. And this is actually the place I brought my wife on our first date too. So very special place to me. I'm like, it's probably benevolent that's reaching out to me right now, because who else would send me there? All right, cool. Let me go. So I was told I was going to meet someone, or the feeling I had was I'm going to meet someone, but I think you know what I mean. And I got up top and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just here to have a good time. Whether I meet someone or not, I just have this weird feeling I'm gonna. And my wife for like 2 weeks was going, I don't know. I'm scared that like you're going to meet a girl when you go up there or something. I was like, what? She goes, no, I don't mean you're going to like leave me or anything. Just like, I'm uncomfortable. I go, okay. She's like, just don't get eaten by a bear, please. Just don't die. I go, I'm just going camping. I've done it for 36 years. So anyways, I'm up top hanging out in this hammock, and this girl walks up, and she's a park ranger up here. And she, I hope she listens to this episode, by the way. She does have my website. So she comes over, we start talking, we're chatting, blah, blah, blah. Just have this great connection talking. And so in the morning, I was kind of like, all right, I really hope I didn't freak out this lady by talking about like I'm a journeyman shaman and blah blah blah, and about all this energy stuff and whatnot. So I'm like, but like I really want to say thanks for the conversation and leave her my number in case. So she was still sleeping late. I pulled out a journal, wrote a little note to her saying, hey, if you want to write this off as some weird dude you met on a mountain, don't worry about it. That's totally fine. But if you'd like me to help out, your husband with any health stuff or anything that you need, I'm happy to help. Like I think you're someone who can really help a lot of people. Genuinely. And so you don't have to have a degree to talk to people to help them. Like not doing therapy, just like genuinely sharing your experiences can help people so much. So that's me plugging her. If you hear this, contact me to be on the podcast. But so she ended up waking up, and I had spent about 3 hours talking to the runes and trying to learn more about them, more than I've already learned through meditation. And I hear, install a Bengstrom up here. I go, okay. I mean, I've been there with my teacher while he's done them. I understand it, kind of. I see it in a different way slightly. My sight's slightly different. But if you're going to tell me to do this right now, I'm going to do it. So I go through and I start channeling, like falling into chanting the runes. And I felt it through my whole body reverberating out. It's really interesting. And I'm like acknowledging, like, wait, I don't really know how to do this. I'm being taught how to do this. Got it. Understand. So in my own way, that's how it's coming in from me. I installed this on the ground. I'm like, all right, what's the worst going to happen? It doesn't do anything. Stand over it. Does exactly what it's supposed to. I said, okay. I could be placeboing myself. And then I see the ranger walking over to me. I go, whoop, I guess I don't have to leave her this outside her tent. I guess I didn't freak her out too much. And I go, you want to stand on the ground here? She goes, why? I go, just stand on the ground. Put your hands out like this. Let me know what happens. Just swaying back and forth. And she goes, what is it? I enchanted the ground there. And I just tell her about the Bengstrom unit. And to the best of my knowledge, what I could remember from your story, what you told me. And she just has this look on her face trying to process. Huh? What is this? And yeah, so that was my experience on top of the mountain.
Wow. That's a good way to get some confirmation that you're tuned into benevolent extra-dimensional forces helping make things happen. Yeah.
So very, very, very interesting experience, but also now to be putting them in other places. And I hadn't installed any other ones yet. That had happened back in November. And then I met a client's individual through someone else. It's just a whole weird story in itself, like how that even lined up. It goes back to like my wedding and everything. So this guy sent to me because, he's like all into meditation, learning all about this stuff. And I go, cool, let me see what I can help with. It sounds like he's on a really good path, like wanting to be really healthy, nothing negative about it. Let me just like genuinely meet and see what's going on. I taught him some meditation techniques, taught him about actually grounding into the earth, not just, focusing on the color green. It sounded like someone was kind of teaching meditation, not with any malice involved, just without a foundation to what it was tying into, which can then tie you into something not so great sometimes. But anyways, so he had a great experience, and I mentioned the Bengstrom, and I heard install one at his house. I said, okay, cool, I'll install one at his house, no problem. And so I do that, and he actually messaged me the other day going, feels completely different in my house right now. Like I can feel it radiating through my house. I said, cool. So in about a month or two, he's going to be a guest on this podcast, actually. So that's you'll hear another story about the Bengstrom.
It's nothing like hearing about it firsthand from somebody who's had an experience, had one installed.
Yeah.
In fact, I could go get that lady who would put it around the bedroom and definitely interview, because she had all kinds of health problems that started reversing.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. So I'm sure she'd be quite happy to share her experience with it. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And by the way, if you end up interviewing this person and I'm not there that I'm mentioning, which will definitely be on here soon, I'm sure he's already agreed to it, but ask him to specifically tell you about what he felt in the nature around when we installed the first one. I want him to tell that story from his experience, not mine.
Oh, sure.
So I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the details. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with the Bengstrom? Otherwise, I'd love to talk a little bit more about what my project is.
Yeah, we're going to be offering, setting up Bengstroms when we do a clinic in a particular area, like I've already been doing at some extent, doing clinics in the Ohio area or in the Indiana area. I'll be doing it next month. I'm sorry, this month. What the heck? We're in January. Forget.
It runs together, doesn't it?
It does. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing it in the New Orleans area. So anyway, we're going to be offering this. We won't go down there somewhere just to set up Bengstroms, but if we're already doing a clinic in the area, we can tag on another day or two and just spend the time putting Bengstroms in. So any of you who are thinking about having us do a clinic in your area, this is an adjunctive service that we can offer to you, which will leave a permanent thing. This is not something that ever has to be recharged. We set it up. It is yours to enjoy after you have it put in from then on. And I can give you another thing about Bengstrom. One of our people who's joined us now, learning our traditions, and who's actually featured in one of the testimonials, was building a new wing on her house. And she said, do you think it would work there? They're going to do considerably tearing up the ground underneath to put this new wing in the house. And I said, well, let's try it. I don't really know. So I did 2 intersecting Fibonacci spirals under an area that would be about the size of a bedroom, maybe 10 by 10 sort of thing. And just see how that would work. I think each one had 8 points, okay? Kind of intersecting with each other, going out in a big spiral. Well, after building that part of the house, it stays lit up all the time. So it's added enormously to how restorative and how regenerative the bedroom is, much more than ever was there before. So we can actually build it if you're building onto your house, you're having something done, or let's say you want to put in a pergola, let's lay it out, I'll put it in, and then your contractor can come and build whatever they want to build over it.
Yeah.
And Bryan can do the same thing up there. Yeah.
Yep. And listen, if anyone's looking for a larger level project where they want to create a whole meditation area, I've got some contacts, especially in the Jersey area, but we can set that up as a service as well. If you guys really want to just be connected to some local subcontractors to build you something beautiful. So, to circle back to also the project that I'm building, I know I mentioned that it's to help people learn meditation, to help them learn about how to be healthy and find purpose in life, which is the ultimate vision for this company, and to provide as much stuff for free for everyone. So, I don't believe that everything can go away for free. You still have to make a living, but something is pre-recorded. Why should you have to pay for that? No, it's the podcast. It's out there. Share that stuff. But when you have the individual workshops, 20 people working with a financial planner back and forth and intense workshops to teach you guys about financial systems and, how it works. Yes, you pay for that type of stuff. But the goal is to create a platform. So it's the podcast, but also the online community, part of, I think, a Patreon. I haven't figured out exactly how we're going to do this part yet, but this is the vision that's going forward in the next meeting with my colleagues. But basically this platform where people can interact. And by being a part of this, which is in a sense not a donation, but just helping support this project is what you're doing. You're helping support this creation. But I want it to be fair, where whatever money you're putting into this isn't wasted. You're getting what you actually want. So for instance, live guided meditations weekly, interaction with the community. If you have a skill that you want to teach and you want to operate in a healing model, you can become a network provider from this process. So you can contribute to this education platform, but then also you can become a provider too. So as an example, you want to teach carpentry. Doesn't mean it's for an apprenticeship. Just you want to teach how to build a table. That's an amazing workshop. Maybe you can teach other people, local handymen. Because right now, when you pay so much money to go learn a skill at the colleges, it's so expensive. And sometimes you don't really need that piece of paper. Now, of course, if you're working in the medical field, anything like that, yes, you should not be operating without a license and anything like that. But in carpentry, all these things, you should be able to learn these for an affordable way, not put you in debt just to learn the skill. So that's a little glimpse of it. It's still in development. This is why, again, I work with a couple other people that can take all the crazy ideas and condense them into logical ones. But so I think I just want to share a little more about that project while people were still listening.
Okay, so getting back to meditation, I remember long ago learning about meditation. Of course, I guess the first time I tried to meditate, I was 15, and I've been reading Alan Watts. Okay, it's in high school. Alan Watts was my first, and then after that, it was Christmas Humphreys was the guy's name. All these authors about Zen and Buddhism and all that, my window into learning about meditation, which I thought was absolutely wonderful. And later, studying about it in an anthropology course, and I don't know if this is actual anthropological doctrine or not, but it made sense to me that meditation was a natural outgrowth of our having been hunter-gatherers, that we learned to quiet the mind, tune into our surroundings, avoid discursive thought, watch our breathing, and kind of blend into the landscape as we're waiting for game to show up so we can eat. And people who mastered this obviously ate better than people who, were, let's say, ADD and sitting there scratching themselves or jumping up and down or whatever, trying to stay warm. And the game heard them and didn't go there. And so you did, your spear was at your side and never in the game. You went home hungry. So I could see the evolutionary value of meditation that way. And if you ever watch cats stalking something, they get super slow and very focused, and there's just no gap in their attention, whether they're going after a snake or whatever they're going after that they're tracking. It's this absolute absorption, which, of course, the Hindi, the Sanskrit word would be dhyana, They're completely absorbed in the object of their pursuit. But I think that may have been, in terms of the evolution of our consciousness, where meditation came to be. What's your opinion on that?
That makes a lot of sense. And I want to circle back to one thing you said about the ADHD, in the sense of the ADHD brains now. I remember hearing back on, I genuinely think it might have been TikTok or Instagram, this guy who's always posts this really cool stuff about neurodivergence and, the whole concept of ADHD. He was introduced in the concept from a lot of research too, that ADHD is actually an evolutionary adaptation. That doesn't mean that everyone has ADHD symptoms from brain damage, whatever else you want to call into it. And that this is an evolutionary adaptation. You're hypersensitive to surroundings. You're able to do this because ADHD can be a superpower, but we're so overstimulated by debt, constant chaos, work life, no balance, that the ADHD brain can't actually relax enough to meditate. So when I heard that theory, I said, I haven't verified the research, but I really like that. And it made a lot of sense to me because I'd already started learning to take it and focus it, but I'd have to slow myself down. And for me, not just from ADHD, but from genuine trauma, which I'm not going to go into on here. But so for me, trying to meditate with addiction, trauma, all that type of stuff was so impossible. Like I would try to focus, my body would be vibrating. I would get headaches when I would try to focus. I would try to relax, and I start feeling I'm just off, and I couldn't do it. And so many people that I asked, have you ever tried to meditate? They have similar, not as intense, but similar where they tried so hard, but everything they're learning about is wrong, or it's not explained in a way that makes sense to them. A lot of people, they read into the Zen stuff, the Buddhist stuff, they're like, what? Because of all the cultural programming that our generations have, it doesn't even work. They've adapted and changed certain things. So basically, what I started to focus on for myself, and the only way to do it, and again, this especially goes for addiction and trauma, where you're out of touch with your actual body. So I was trying to meditate with my mind, but not my body. But I had to get back in touch with my body first. And when I started doing that, I started actually being able to stretch, in ways I could never stretch before. I went from touching halfway down my shins to touching the floor by my toes in 2 days. Now it's just from genuinely trying to learn how to get in touch with my body. I breathe into it and I literally feel releases of pain, and I'd sit down and meditate and try to access what was this. And I start remembering, okay, wow, this was related to something that happened. Oh, okay, now I understand. It was an inner conflict that was going on. I didn't have all the pieces to it. So I was using the getting in touch with my body to then meditate on it after. So that's how I'm teaching meditation to especially people who've been through serious shit in their life, which is most people at this point. I mean, look at the fact that you have people genuinely talking about they're traumatized from COVID. And here's the thing, like some people really are. Some people had great times, but look at the healthcare worker who was literally delousing in the room in their house to come in, bleaching everything, bleaching their groceries. They're scared that they're going to die. That was me, man. Like genuinely, that was me. Like we got stuck in it because, we were seeing stuff happen. Genuinely, some people had different experiences. If you didn't work in healthcare, you didn't see it. You didn't see your partner coming home and talk about how they lost 4 or 5 people that day. Like, now I'm not going to go any deeper into that here. That's for probably a different podcast. But the fear was real. So it's so hard for people to slow down and calm down if they haven't actually learned how to confront that and make sense of it. Because if the fear has no basis, no foundation, it's just random garble back and forth, creating cognitive dissonance in the brain. Everyone's on edge. Like their cortisol levels are spiking out of control. And that's what I've been learning through a lot of research was at the core of, and stop me if I'm rambling, by the way, please. But,
I see you're talking about the neurological dysregulation of the very anxious, unrooted, ungrounded modern citizen who isn't tied into the earth, open to the sky, isn't living in this cosmic axis that we speak of, that the Bengstrom obviously opens you up to, and the meditation, properly understood, at least in our tradition, utsetning, does line you up for where you're actually deliberately placing a rod into the earth through your spine, through your seat, through your feet, depending whether you're standing or sitting or both. If you're sitting, obviously you're putting it through both portions into the earth, and you're opening up the top of your head to the sky. You're visualizing yourself opening up, and you're becoming a part of all that is. And the conflicts that are trapped in your body tend to go away because they're no longer trapped there. If there's some sort of base, lower feeling that's bothering you, it's going to go straight into the earth. If there's some sort of inspiration you need or some sort of uplifting, literally feeling, it's going to be downloaded from the sky. And this is the sense that we have when we meditate that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the modern world, we're so ungrounded because of the digital age, especially the digital age, because it programs us into it. I'm working on a blog post, one of the first ones for the project, which I don't want to say, all the website and any of that stuff right now because it's not done. I don't feel like putting a splash page up right now. But basically, I'm just lazy. I'll do it. It's called Not Everything Matters. So that is the whole project. Why would I not advertise that? Sorry. It's been a long week. But all those things that go into anxious people, and whether you have especially in the modern day with all the processed foods, all the different chemicals and everything, the constant stress being programmed by all these things, it's a constant drip of cortisol in the body from day one, especially if you live in a dysfunctional family. So those people, if they're addicted to cortisol in their body, can't calm down. And if they try to calm down, the body's developed a dependency on, this is what I've been learning through a lot of my research, has developed a dependency on cortisol specifically. So when you try to slow down, the body goes, no. Because that fight or flight developed through trauma, whether described trauma from the 50s or trauma now, it doesn't matter. If it's causing a cortisol reaction, the body's recognizing it as fear, fight, or flight. So it's always in this mode to protect you for all these years. You try to turn it off. It's like, no, dude, I'm protecting you. So you have to teach this fear reaction and this cortisol reaction. So I've been doing meditation teaching around the cortisol balance. So, example, looking into L-theanine, taking it in the morning and night. That genuinely has a lot of research behind it that shows this regulates the neurological levels of cortisol, serotonin, and dopamine while you are asleep. And then introducing diet into it, which I'm working on a cookbook as well with this concept.
Theanine is good for that, herbally speaking. Of course, theanine is one of the ingredients in green tea, very worth having. Mm-hmm. One of the other ones is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha actually immediately, directly lowers the cortisol in your system. Don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I actually did not. I've been trying to do different research. I started taking L-theanine recently, because upon recommendation from someone, and I was like, shit, this is working. That's why I'm working on a cookbook surrounding cooking. The synthesis of beets, like beets cooked, actually retain most of the the nitrates that are needed to make nitric oxide.
Yeah.
They only lose a little bit when cooked. And they really don't. You can't eat them raw. It just doesn't work. They're not supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
So, and then raw carrots. Using that together in a dish, the dish is centered around. So I'm designing a cookbook centered around lowering cortisol levels and balancing, utilizing extracts, all that other stuff. Me and my brother are working on this project. But anyways, sorry, that's a tangent one. But the cortisol reaction in the body, when it's going constantly, if it's tied into, let's say, something that happened physically, and just leave it there, to someone, and to protect themselves, they gain extra weight. And if the cortisol is tied to that, it's going to start bringing wakings, tying that methodology, neurological everything. So when people
getting back to not everything matters, is this going to be a .org or a .com, or how do you plan to offer it?
.com right now. I'm sure if the project does grow enough, I'll probably have more domains on there. But right now, just .com. It's a placeholder. I will put up a splash page, but I expect my goal is to have the pilot episode probably come out in early or mid-February. But what I would love to do on here, unless there's something else that you want to get into first, is play you the first rough track of the Find Your Breath.
Yeah, I'd like to try that and see how it feels. Sure. Let's just give it a try.
Perfect. Okay, so let me just get this on here playing again. Now,
I'll try not to drool or droop or do anything silly. All right.
All right. So what this part of the project is for Not Everything Matters is using James Hood's music from Mesmerica and eventually Beautifica. For those who don't know James Hood, he is an international composer, plays the handpan beautiful. I need to learn more about him. But he's in all the planetariums having this beautiful show. You've probably seen it online. So I contacted them after seeing this amazing show, and I sat there and I kind of got a message going, oh, benevolent beings helped with this creation. They were channeling through the musicians. This is beautiful. And I was told, I heard, use it. I go, okay. Reached out to James Hood. Their team said, just use it. By all means, you don't have to pay anything for us.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's what this is.
Great.
This is not the final draft. This is the rough draft before going live with everything. So everyone gets to hear this first. So what I want everyone to do is, if you can, don't do it while driving. Please, you do have to see. Sit back, relax, lay down, close your eyes, and listen to this. And try to meditate along with this. Just follow what I am saying and follow the words, follow the breath. It's called Finding Your Breath. Now, if you want to relax for a minute and get kind of in a mode where you want to do this, go ahead and pause it, come back to it, obviously. And just close your eyes and listen. Begin with your breath. Feel as you breathe in, as the air travels up the nostrils, down the back of the throat, inflating the lungs and allowing the chest to expand. Feel where the breath goes. As you exhale through the mouth, feel the air leave the body, taking note of the tensions and what this feels like. Where you are does not matter. You can be driving, sitting, laying down, stretching. Find your breath, the natural rhythm that is yours, no one else's. And just breathe like that for a moment. However long you need to find that calm breath. Some people it takes longer. Some people it takes shorter. The more practice, the easier it is. This is your practice, no one else's. Now when you found that breath, set the intention. What are you seeking to discover? What are you seeking to unravel? Is it pain? Is it emotions? Anxiety? Set the intention to begin to get to know your body and get to know yourself. With each breath, feel the areas of the body that are tense, and the shoulders, and the hips, and the feet. Take note of these, acknowledge them. And with each breath, begin to feel it expand from the chest to the stomach. As you breathe in, feel it inflate in more of your body, getting more in tune. And as you exhale, it's relaxing. And keep breathing like this until you feel the breath expand all the way through your body. Maybe not at first. Maybe it takes a while. But learn to breathe with the whole body. And then, when you feel it, or as far as you can go, return to the natural breath. Feel the calmness within yourself. Take note of all the tensions that relate to your journey. Take note of the tension that tie to these intentions. Begin to allow, with each exhale, all of them to float to the feet. As we begin to expand and grow the roots from the base of our feet down into the earth, through the foundation, until they find the fertile soil beneath. We feel the coolness embrace the roots of the earth as they weave in and find ground. Feel as they meander down deeper and deeper, drawing our feet, drawing the tension down from our bodies. Feel as the roots find purchase, and feel as the tension leaves down these roots into the earth, ready to be recycled. Breathe like this, feeling it all leave. And ask the earth to recycle this energy and to send it back so it helps us to grow. With each breath, as we inhale, pull this energy up. So we are now breathing not just with our bodies, but with the roots below. Pull this energy up, giving the nutrients for them to grow up our legs little by little. It will take time. And feel it. Not just see it. Feel as they grow. Feel that rootedness and that calmness in the body as we begin our journey. All right, and I'm just gonna wake us up before you start drooling on there. But no, so the next minute and a half is just the rest of the song. So this is the first song off Mesmerica, Parnassus. I follow that.
Well,
James said,
it was very relaxing. I definitely did feel the tingling sensation traveling up the leg like I do when I meditate otherwise, and I felt the sense of connection very easily coming. It was quite good.
Good.
Yeah.
Very, very happy to hear that. So I look forward to the final draft, which when it's all done, I'll put it on Spotify. I've been recording this stuff like in my therapy room that I just put up like $40 sound panels on the wall. So it's actually going to sound a little better now. So it's going to sound more, not that it was bad, but just a little bit better.
More professional. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Precisely.
Excellent.
So,
all right. Well, thank you, folks, for joining us on this exploration of meditation. A little opportunity to try the meditation experience yourself. And Bryan's going to be coming out with a lot more of this. An introduction on what the Bengstroms are all about, and a little bit of the bizarre, weird, strange, but very benevolent history of how we ran across them and how they're propagating through us presently.
yeah.
And please join us again soon. We'll be resuming the series on noble lives with Jane, with another interview coming soon. And, of course, we'll be exploring other subjects along the way. So we'll try to keep it interesting here. And please give us your feedback. There are feedback forms on our website, Teutonichealing.com, as well as, I think, provided with the podcast itself, Shamanic Voices. And you can look for us in video format, which this will be one of our video broadcasts on Facebook as Teutonic Healing. We have our own channel there. So,
the video is just on YouTube right now. We may be switching out to the streaming on other platforms. For now, it is.
No, I thought I said that it was. I thought I said it was on YouTube. Yeah,
okay. Facebook.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not on Facebook. It is strictly. I don't know why I get the two confused.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you've been working for like 25 days straight, probably.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Bryan, for sharing your experiences with the Bengstrom development and your further experiences with trying to propagate. If you think about meditation, folks, think about a very simple way that we have in modern hectic society, frantic levels of energy, high cortisol, high stress levels as we're trying to make a living and just get by day to day. And we forget to ground ourselves in all that is. We forget to ground ourselves in the totality of our experience. And meditation is a part of getting back that part of our basic human heritage, which is that sense of connection and that sense of groundedness. So, hey, meditate along with us, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Shamanic Voices. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, share, follow us on social media, tell your friends. Every click, every share helps us with this project as we try to share with the world the customs passed down in the ancient Scandinavian tradition for over 8,000 years. We hope you enjoyed our show. Please join us next time at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every other Wednesday. You can also check out our website, teutonichealing.com. Check the description for a link where you can explore more about what it is that we do, contact us for a session, or send us your questions to have answered. We look forward to sharing the space with you soon. See you next time on Shamanic Voices. Go with the gods.